Welcome to the lunch of the 2025 CCM Annual Convention. I'm not sure, this has to be 58, 59 years, something like that. What is it?
59.
59 years. So next year we'll have hopefully we'll have a gubernatorial debate on this stage at a 60-year celebration. So thank all of you for continuing to keep this organization robust and strong, and certainly to our board members and others who give of your time to provide us direction and speak on behalf of municipal officials. Thank all of you as well. What I want to do to just kick things off here, we're going to start off like we did at breakfast. We're going to thank our sponsors. We have CCI Voice, Comcast Business, Dove Deals, Post University, who part of our award ceremony, you're going to see folks from Post University up here on the stage. We have ClearGov, Atlantic Computing Technology Corporation, the Connecticut Port Authority, GZA, Titan Energy, Harris Beach Mertha, Verigy, Interstate Waste Services, Bank of America, CEN, Lockton, Readily, OpenGov, and Paymentus. Can everybody give our sponsors a nice round of applause, please? And now what I'm going to do, I know we're waiting on our special guest. The governor is going to come and speak. He's only a few minutes out. But what I want to do is I want to give an opportunity, and she will actually introduce the governor when he gets here, but I want to give an opportunity to first give thanks and then bring our CCM board president, Mayor Laura Hoynick of Stratford, to the podium for a few minutes. Mayor Hoynick is one of a few, and talk about 59 years, one of only a few municipal officials who served 2 terms as CCM board president. And that is a heavy lift, because they're not getting paid for this. They're getting a lot of extra headaches, a lot of phone calls when they're in the middle of other business saying, hey, we need some direction, or can you make some time for me, or can we pull together a meeting? And she developed quite a nice rapport, she and I, over the last couple of years. It took about 23 of the 24 months that she was in office where I had to use her work cell. And the last month she said, you know, I kind of like you, so then she gave me her personal cell number where I could reach out to her. So felt really privileged when I finally made the cut for that. But Mayor Hoynick's term here is coming to an end, and I just want to give her an opportunity to come up and say a couple things and then introduce Governor Lamont here in a moment, because she has really been a great, steadfast, dedicated leader for this organization, again, for 2 terms as a CCM board president. So, Mayor?
An honor to be here, not only as the CCM president, but also representing so many great communities and really what makes Connecticut work. All the work that you all do in your towns, in your cities, providing for your residents and making sure their quality of life is something that they can be proud of and they're happy with, is the epitome of government. You know, I often say that government should not be the most important thing in people's lives, but the minute that it is not done well, it becomes the most important thing in people's lives. So here's to you all and all the service that you give to the state of Connecticut, because you're doing a phenomenal job, and keep up the great work. I'd also like to acknowledge CCM, the organization, my friend Joe, who's like a little brother to me, though he is taller than I, but we treat each other more like siblings, and it is true, I just gave him my personal cell number about a month ago. But at least this Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, and with cost, works really, really hard to keep us together, not as an organization, but doing what's right for Connecticut. And I'd like to recognize them, and I'd also like to say Thank you, Governor, for all that you do for the state and all the things that you have done to make sure CCM and Gloucester are on the table when we do great things together. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Governor of the state of Connecticut, Ned Lamont.
Hey, thank you, Laura. Hey, everybody. Oh. Yeah, you're right. Government gets kicked around a lot until you need it, and then you hear loud and clear what people need. And let me just say, first of all, thank God for the mayors and first selectmen. You guys know how to get things done. You're looking for a solution. Legislators often looking for an issue, often looking for a talking point. Not mayors, not first selectmen. I've been doing this for a while. I know my audience, by the way. But I'll tell you, I'll just follow up on what Laura was saying. What a mess it was during the shutdown. And a bunch of folks down there in Washington, back and forth, arguing about something. And what is a paid furlough? Those words don't mean anything to a mayor or first selectman. I mean, my nurses, my state troopers, my corrections guys, your municipal police, they can't go on a paid furlough. What are they talking about? We got to take care of people. We got to get the job done. And that's what mayors do. They get the job done. I really needed you, 4 or 5 years ago when we were going through COVID. And that's when I really started working very closely with, Betsy and Joe and superintendents. You're the trusted voices in your communities during that time of incredible complication. And, it's one thing for Dr. Fauci to say something or for the CDC to say something or me, but we worked very closely together, hand in hand. And I think the state came through those terrible years better than most. We got our schools open faster. We kept our businesses going. You were able to take care of people. Thank you for what we're able to do together. And that's sort of what I learned during this housing thing. Legislature had some pretty strong ideas. I think everybody generally agreed, as they often do in terms of the big picture. We have a housing shortage in this state. You're not serious about affordability unless you make it easier for young families to buy their first home, unless you make it easier for mom and dad to downsize so they can stay in the place they want. I heard from every single business in the state, including many in your towns, they're not going to grow, they're not going to expand unless there's a place for workers to live. It's a key to economic development, it's key to affordability. There was a general sense, perhaps outside of the Republicans in the state Senate, that we needed more housing. And what's the best way to get there? And legislature pushed pretty hard, but I thought they pushed without having you at the table. They pushed sort of in spite of the mayors and first selectmen. And they said, look, this is the number of units we got to do. Towns have got to go do these number of units. And it was a thoughtful policy, but my experience coming back to COVID and beyond is you got to have the mayors and first selectmen at the table. And so we had a bit of a back and forth on housing, and ended up having to veto that bill. But I wanted not to veto and walk away, which is what often happens in the political world. I wanted to make sure we came back with a better bill. And I talked to Joe DeLong, and I talked to Betsy, and I talked to, more than a few of you. Believe it or not, I actually talked to a lot of legislators on both sides of the aisle as well, saying, look, we've got to come together. Our mayors and first selectmen, they're the ones that implement this bill. They've got something called planning and zoning. They got to do a little more planning. They're pretty good at zoning. And how can we work together to make sure the state can be your partner? Make sure we give you the tools you need to make sure that your town, you know where it's going to be in the next 5 or 10 years. You tell us where you want it to be. You tell us where you want that housing to go, and we'll be there as your partner to get it done. And, Betsy said, look, our smaller towns, they want housing too, but they don't have sewer and water, you know, stop telling us you're going to deprioritize somebody unless they get housing. And I said, that's it, let's work on cost. You tell us where you want that to be in your town, and we'll be there to make sure sewer and water, whatever you need, is the infrastructure, we'll be there as your partner. And a lot of our smaller towns, I mean, they're shrinking. A lot of our cities are growing. Our smaller towns are shrinking. I got to do everything I can to make sure it's a place where young people can start. I was in, Sherman the other day, and there they, you know, there weren't many teens, so they turned teen center into a community center, and the community center into housing, just so people could afford to get a start. I heard loud and clear from a lot of folks in the legislature, and many of you, that we don't want to compromise local control. And many of the legislators said we're not going to compromise local control, and walked out of my office. A lot of mayors, and Joe DeLong, and the COGS, a couple of guys named Matt and the COGS, said, look, I'll show you how we can do this together to make it work, and we get the job done. We don't just needle away at a problem, we find a solution. And that's where we started coming together. It was CCM that really took the lead and saying, look, we got to work also. I want the towns to have the tools they need to make sure we know what their town, they know what their town's going to look like in 5 years and how we can be there as their partner. And a lot of other towns, smaller towns, said, I want to do this. I want to do it in association with the COGS. And Joe said, this is really important because a lot of sewer and water things don't stop at the border. You know, so it's better if the towns can work together. And a lot of our smaller towns, you're saying, I don't have the planning capability to do this. So we said, we'll give, you know, a couple $100,000 per COG, so the planning is right there at that COG level, so you have people you can work with, and the COG can come up with some solutions, but at the end of the day, it is your call. You make the call. You take the lead. You tell us how you want that housing to go, and we'll be there as your partner. Look, I didn't like all the, you know, NIMBY stuff, as if we're tearing up people's backyards. You know, when I'm not in Hartford, I'm in Greenwich. And, you know, I've been down there for many years now. And every local election, I get a flyer, and the flyer has a picture of somebody's nice ranch on an acre of land next to the Empire State Building, because that's what's happening when you lose your local control. That's, look, I work with the mayors, and everybody's I'm talking to is saying, look, I've got this old parking lot. I've got this old mill. I have a shopping center in my suburban town that is really not up to snuff. I've got all these commercial buildings that are sort of half empty, and the assessed value of them is going down. What can we do to take advantage of those underdeveloped facilities and turn them back into housing? And you take that, you know, everybody's going through these horrible reassessments, and a lot of what's crushing you right now is that you see commercial valuations going down. As they go down, that puts more of a load on the residential. So we're trying to counteract that, trying to do everything we can to help you grow your grand list. And one way we do that is to say, look, we'll take some of that commercial, we'll give you the flexibility to turn that from commercial into residential. And then I heard from, I don't know, Mike Frieda, Rudy Marconi said, watch out, Governor, I don't want this commercial to just go into residential, especially for the larger ones, because I want my town to look alive on a Thursday evening. That requires restaurant and retail and something on that first floor, not just residential. And so we put that into account, and we took and listened to your advice and put that into the bill, so you have that flexibility. I heard from a lot of you saying, look, the parking thing, you're hamstringing me. I'm not going to have any control over parking, and I've got, you know, parking jams in my community. So we made sure that you had flexibility when it came to parking, you know, especially for those larger facilities and even for the smaller ones, so that you were able to make sure it worked for your community. Because every community is different, and nobody knows your community like you know your community. I'd like to think that we came to a place that was a reasonable compromise. And I think we came to a place, I'd like to think, I hope that on a bipartisan basis, I have a lot of mayors and first selectmen say, thank you. It's not perfect, but it's progress. And it's something I can work with going forward. And I appreciate folks that listen to me. And if I have to fine tune some things and change some things to make sure they work for you, that's what we do. That's how you work together. And that's what I love, about mayors and first selectmen. They're trying to get the solutions, trying to get the yes. Too often people are happy to settle for no. They have a talking point. They go and argue about it until the next election. We found a way to get to yes. And for that, I want to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what we're able to do together. Thank you to the COGS. Thank you to the small towns. Thank you to Joe DeLong and CCM. And we're making some progress. I'll just tell you that it's pretty tricky right now. With that shutdown I referenced, people need a little consistency, a little stability. They hate the sudden shock of back and forth and on and off. 2017, I remember before I got here, I was just looking at the state and I saw, we couldn't come up with a budget. No mayors knew what to plan for. The Board of Ed didn't have resources. And I tried to do everything I could to give people a little bit of stability and consistency. And in terms of budgeting, not everything you wanted, but something that you'd be able to count upon. And this administration is just the opposite. During that shutdown, it's one thing to say we're going to cut back on SNAP benefits, which is food support that about 10% of our people take advantage of and really need. I can understand that. That's what elections are all about. But they changed the rules on SNAP 6 times in 8 days. You can replenish the SNAP card. You can't replenish the SNAP card. If you replenish the SNAP card, we're going to penalize you. That type of herky-jerky on again made it really very difficult to govern. And that's what we're trying to make sure we don't do in the state of Connecticut. Give you some consistency and constancy you can count upon. But I worry about right now probably is healthcare costs. And talking to Joe, I hear from a lot of mayors as well what that means. I know what it's doing to your Board of Ed budget. I know what you're doing to your municipal budget. I know what it's doing to state budgets. I know what it's doing to working families. I know what healthcare costs going up at double digits is doing to small business. That's the world, I came out of. And I understand the debate in Washington right now is about subsidies on the exchange. And subsidies is not a long-term solution, but it's a Band-Aid to make sure that people don't have a 50% increase in their healthcare costs on the exchange in about 3.5 weeks, which is what's going to happen. And you're going to hear about it, and I'm going to hear about it. Remember, during the SNAP benefits, the on and off, all of a sudden I saw bread lines that reminded me of FDR in the 1930s. And slowly we got that back to normal. I'd like to think we'll get the same place in healthcare. I'd like to think they'll find some way to get to a compromise. And if they can't, I like where the state of Connecticut is compared to most of our peers. We do have $3.5 billion in reserve. It's burning a hole in the legislature's pockets, but you got to understand why it's there. It was there because I learned a lot from 2017 to 2008, and 9, and 01. A lot of people think, oh my God, recessions are over, nothing we have to worry about again. That's what they've said in 1929. And I got to make sure that I can hold you harmless, or at least do everything I can if there was that recession to make sure that you don't have to slash education, you don't have to jack up taxes, maintain core municipal supports. That's what that rainy day fund is for. And now it has another purpose, just to provide some backup in the case that the federal government is yanking food support or jacking up insurance costs for health care on the exchange. I cannot make up all that shortfall, and I need your help to explain that to people, but we can do some things to mitigate the pain and soften that. And I'm hoping that we'll find out something from the feds pretty soon, but I'm not counting on it. I also need, your help on not short-term solutions, but, long-term solutions. I just finished the State of the State, was coming in to put my feet up to the desk. And Laura Narunin said, hey, I got a couple of people who'd like to talk to you. Yeah, and about 15 mayors came in, Laura, remember that? And we talked about special ed. And we talked about what that's doing to your budget. We talked about things you can't control. And said, look, but what I loved about the mayors is said, look, we're not just asking for more money to subsidize the status quo. We've got some ideas on how we can better take care of these young people, and that we need your help to be able to do it, Governor. For one, we're taking too many of these special ed kids who are special kids. We're taking them out of district. We're taking them out of state. We're paying a fortune to do it. That's not good for them. It's not good for their families. It's not good for our budget. Maybe there's some way we can put some resources in place so we can do this in our own communities and in our own regions. And by the way, we spend a fortune on these guys going out of state. Remember that conversation, Laura? Why are we paying so much more than they are in other states? So we said, let's do that study, see what we can do to take care of people long term. And of particular interest to me, I also care deeply about early childhood education. You know, I know what that meant to families in terms of affordability. I know what that meant in terms of giving kids the very best head start in life. And I also talked to an awful lot of pre-K teachers and kindergarten teachers, said, give these kids a little better head start, give them a little more pre-K support, give them early childhood, maybe we head off some of the special needs that come along later. Prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I'm trying to do the same thing broadly with healthcare, and I'd love your feedback on this. I'm not going to get much help, I don't think, from the feds. A lot of this will be better solved at a federal level, but I work with, Sean Scanlon, our controller, and Josh Wojak, who came over from his office now at OPM, and Andrea Barton-Reeves, and hopefully Joe DeLong, and some of you, trying to create a preferred network of healthcare providers in this state. I'm sort of really shocked to know that I got my hip done the other year or two ago. I can get it done for $25,000 over here or $50,000 over there. I know what it's going to be over there with all the unintended costs coming in. And it's incredible the difference in cost, one hospital to another or one system to another. And you say maybe you're paying for quality. Not necessarily. It's a little bit about market power as well. So it's going to take us a year working with you and working with the legislature to put together a preferred network of hospital systems and preventive care and primary care docs, where I try and incent my state employees and retirees. I've got about 250,000. Maybe we work with you in terms of the partnership plan that Sean provides for a lot of our municipalities, ways to save you money on healthcare costs, and maybe save some of your employees some money as well. You go to our preferred network, no copay, make it just a little bit easier for folks. These are the type of things we're thinking about, not just to provide a short-term solution to immediate needs, but also longer-term, what we can do going forward. Anyway. It's a pretty tricky time. It's a pretty tricky time for you. Very uncertain coming out of Washington, and I do worry about recession. And I know we're better prepared than most other states. And I'd like to think many of you are as well. We think about that because I remember the hell we went through, especially back in 08, 09. But I don't think I'd trade places with any other state. I like where we are. I like the fact that, we have a housing crisis, in part because people want to be here. Young people want to be here. More of our people want to stay. More of our college graduates want to stay. I think that's a good thing. Our cities, like I said, are growing. Even our small towns want to keep growing and make it a place where people can stay. I love that fact. I love the fact that we do have a rainy day fund, so we're a little bit insulated from a lot of the risks that are out there. And, I worry that we live in a time where people sort of focus on what divides us. And we don't like that person that doesn't look like us or comes from a different background. And I like to think that's not true of Connecticut. I like where we are in terms of our values, and I hope you do as well. And those are the incredible strengths that make our state special. Those are the incredible strengths why people want to stay here or come here. And I love the opportunity to be your governor every day. I love the opportunity to work with each and every one of you, because mayors get it done. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Governor. And I think it's the timing. Mayor Hoynick, if you want to come back up and join us as well. So we have this award that we typically give out, which is the legislator or legislators of the year, or legislative champions award. This year, we're not giving legislative champion award, we're giving a municipal champions award. And the governor had spoken about the things that happened after the bill was vetoed. Well, I can tell you for me and the job that we do at CCM, but certainly for Betsy Garrett, the Council of Small Towns, and for our COG directors, who their boards are made up of all of you, municipal officials, our safe place was to say the bill's vetoed, we're done, we'll see what happens next session, and we'll probably fight the next round of crazy that comes out of that building. That's our safe place. But the governor invited those groups to the table to speak on behalf of municipal officials to see if we could come to a better place. And I'm proud to bring up Betsy Garrett from COS, Matt Folda from Metro COG. Come on up, Betsy and Matt. And then Matt Hart from the Capital Regional Council of Governments could not be with us today, but we have Caitlin Palmer, who is the Director of Regional Planning and Development for COG, who is coming up on Matt's behalf. So what I want to share with you is these individuals, Betsy and Matt and Caitlin behind the scenes helping Matt, they put countless hours into going back and forth with the governor, with his chief of staff, with representatives from OPM, reading draft copies of things that came back from the General Assembly that sometimes they looked at and scratched their heads and said, wow, is this like, are we really getting anywhere? And took those conversations back to the CCM Executive Committee, to the Cost Executive Committee, and even talked about this work in the broader representation of our membership. And in the end, I will tell you, in the decade that I've been here, we knew that not everybody would like it. We knew that it was not our safe place. But some of the things that were trying to be done to our communities and the ability to respond to what our communities were telling us were their greatest, most critical concerns, Betsy, Matt, and Matt put in countless hours on your behalf because the governor opened the door and let them sit at the table. And so very proud to present to them the 2025 CCM Municipal Champion Awards, along with Governor Lamont. So, along with Tom Dunn, we also have with us Tiana Pagan, who is the head of partner growth. She's the partner growth manager for Post University. Tiana, will you come up here? There's Tiana, all right. So, Post University for several years now has been a partner with us in a scholarship program that we give out here at CCM called Low Cool Gov. Low Cool is where we ask middle school students and high school students to submit an entry. It can be any kind of entry that they want. We've had dresses made that tell a story. We've had videos made. We've had books written. We've had 2 poems. And they submit, and a group through Post University goes to the submissions, and they award 2 scholarship winners. And one of our scholarship winners can't be with us today, the high school student, but we do have the middle school student scholarship winner, Aubrey Del Prado. Aubrey, come on up here. Aubrey wrote a poem that I know that her mayor from Wolcott particularly appreciated, which was, "If you give a mayor a cookie." I think she really had you in mind, Tommy, when she wrote that. So she wrote this great poem, If You Give a Mayor a Cookie, and it talked about all of the wonderful things that can happen by just doing that outreach, by giving a mayor a cookie, by building that rapport, by doing the things that need to be done in the community. And I know that Aubrey's submission was very impressive to all of the people from the committee that reviewed it. So we're going to present Aubrey with a $1,000, correct? A $1,000 check from Post University to continue her studies. So I do have a question for you, Aubrey. What's the difference if you give a mayor a cookie or if you give the governor a cookie? Does it change? No, it doesn't change. Same outcomes. If you only had one cookie, which one would you? I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that. So, Aubrey, congratulations and thank you all. Governor, thank you for being with us. So we're going to move forward. As I mentioned, our other local Gov Scholarship recipient could not be here today due to they couldn't miss class. So good reason not to be here for that. But they are from the town of Ellington. And we have the town administrator of Ellington, Matthew Reed, and the Ellington new first selectman, Laura Bernstein. If Matthew and Laura would come up here and accept on behalf of, let me make sure, Aspen Player, an 11th grader from Ellington High School who also wrote a poem. This must be the year for poems, entitled Ode to Ellington's Local Government. The nice thing is you guys do the photo, and I'm sure we can Photoshop Aspen into it when this is all said and done, so it'll be just like you're here. Thank you, Tiana. Thank you to Post University for your generosity. So we're going to move on. We got some more awards to give out here, some more important awards we want to get to rather quickly. We're going to bring Mayor Hoydick back up here, and this is where we're going to move into what we refer to as our Municipal Excellence Awards. And the sponsor of our Municipal Excellence Awards, once again for several years now, has been Halloran Sage, and Kenneth Slater will come up from Halloran Sage and join us in presenting the Municipal Excellence Awards. Kenneth is going to have to present this first one and not Mayor Hoydick, because he'll be presenting it to Mayor Hoydick. So our first topical award goes to Creative Programs in Sustainability. And the recipient of that is, you probably figured out, the town of Stratford for their Stratford Animal Control. Sustainability in Action is a community-powered approach to animal welfare. And Stratford's sustainability and animal welfare isn't just about recycling resources, it's about reimagining. In particular, they have focused on how municipal shelters can operate without additional taxpayer burden. Stratford Animal Control has built a self-sustaining, community-driven model that delivers high-quality care, robust enrichment, and long-term solution for animals while maintaining the same operating budget since 2011. This transformation has been made possible by strategic partnerships, targeted fundraising, and volunteer engagement that extends far beyond basic shelter operations. Joining Mayor Hoydick on the stage to receive this award is Rachel Silvera, Municipal Animal Control Officer Supervisor. Congratulations. And Mayor, if you'd like to stay, you can stay and help present these other Municipal Excellence Awards. I'm not letting you get away that easily, see? So our next award is the General Entry Award for populations under 20,000. This award goes to recognizing a program that is pretty near and dear, hits home with me just because not the challenges in which it's addressed, but just in its naming. The naming of it is, "You good, bro." And I say that because I have a 13-year-old daughter, and somehow I'm no longer dad or anything else, I'm bro. And bro is the answer to everything. If I'm here at the conference and I send her a text and I say, "Hey, have you got your homework done for tonight?" The text message I get back is, "Bro." So I guess that means yes, like you don't have to ask me. So bro covers a lot of ground apparently. But in 2024, the Montville Youth Services launched a unique suicide and awareness campaign, suicide prevention and awareness campaign, titled, "You Good, Bro?" The idea for this campaign is tied to the question, persuade, and refer, the QPR method to suicide prevention training provided by the Southeastern Regional Council, SERAC, who also contributes funding toward their preventative initiatives. So bringing to the stage and accepting on behalf of the town of Montville is Barbara Lockhart, Director of Youth Services. And perhaps, I'm not sure, I didn't see these here, Mayor Leonard Bonnell, Senior, may be here as well. So come on down. Come on down, bro. Okay, our next general entry award goes to population towns between 20,000 and 40,000. And that award is for the New London Community Recreation Center. The New London Community Recreation Center represents a transformative step forward in the city's commitment to the physical, mental, and social well-being of its residents. Under the direction of Economic Development and Planning Director Felix Reyes, the NLCRC opened in June 25th of 2025. The facility has become a cornerstone of the community's health and engagement, demonstrating how a well-planned and resourceful public initiative can greatly improve both the quality of town services and the overall community experience. The NLCRC has improved services, fostered citizen engagement, generated significant cost savings, and provided a healthy future for its residents. Coming to the stage, accepting on behalf of the City of New London, is Felix Reyes, Director of Development and Planning, and Josh Posey, Director of Recreation. And I also know I saw Mayor Pissarro, if he's still here. If he's still here, I'm going to drag him up to the stage as well. So come on down. Congratulations. Thank you, Mayor. Congratulations. All right, we have one more of our topical awards, and that goes to the General Entry Award population of over 40,000. This award is going to be presented to the City of Bristol for their Community Wellness Officers Program. In January of 2024, the City of Bristol hired a team of 2 community wellness officers, Officers Travisano and Finkel, who focus on community mental health outreach, de-escalating situations with individuals in crisis, homelessness population, individuals dealing with substance abuse. The officers serve under the Community Relations Division of the Bristol Police Department. They work to build rapport and provide care without resorting to force, addressing community concerns about public spaces and vulnerable populations. The City of Bristol is utilizing supplemental tax revenue from adult use recreational cannabis to fund the hiring of the officers without directly costing taxpayer funds. Accepting on behalf of the City of Bristol is Mayor Ellen Zappo-Sassoon. Congratulations to the City of Bristol. Kenneth, thank you again so much for your continued support and participation. Thank you. Thank you at Halloran Sage. Okay, we're down to the final, only a couple of awards left. We started a few years ago These awards really named after CCM's founding executive director, Joel Kogan, and CCM's founding officer and first board president, Richard C. Lee. Our first award that we're giving is the Joel Kogan Lifetime Achievement Award. This award is given to those who have dedicated a significant amount of time to their community over an extended period, as Kogan did himself for over 40 years. And I can tell you a large portrait of Joel Kogan hangs in our conference room at the CCM headquarters. He's still providing a lot of looks and a lot of direction to our staff on a daily basis. So the recipient of this year's Joel Kogan Lifetime Achievement Award is Robert Bob Mora, the retired first selectman of Bolton. Now, Bob has been an integral part of the town of Bolton for 65 years as a leader serving in numerous roles, including first selectman, board of selectmen, pollution control, volunteer firefighter, deputy chief, board of tax review, health district member, justice of the peace, lake advisory committee, Parks and Rec coordinator of youth activities and services, the zoning board of appeals, and the 300th committee to celebrate the town of Bolton's birthday, among others. Bob is a lifelong resident who after college became a teacher and later an appraiser and farmer on the family property. His public service career started in 1960 at the age of 18 when he joined the Bolton Volunteer Fire Department. Over the next 55 years, he served as a firefighter, officer, and special member. Bob's father, Richard, served as first selectman, and rumor has it, although he advised Bob not to run for office, Bob did just that and won. Bob's impact has reached far beyond meetings. He used his own farm equipment to help build Herrick Park Ballpark and personally supported emergency management storm recovery efforts, even cooking and serving 3 hot meals a day for residents and helping personally to snowplow roads. His hands-on approach and problem-solving mindset have defined his service. Bob's unique ability to guide and influence and inspire staff and individuals fostered innovation and created a collaborative environment for Bolton to benefit. When Bolton and Vernon faced a deep consent order to sewer around Bolton Lake, Bob led the charge to develop and acquire funding from various state and federal sources. And he pursued enabling legislation that allowed the creation of the first truly regional water pollution control authority, beginning with the construction phase. Bob remains the chair of the regional authority today. The many accomplishments under Bob's leadership and vision are numerous, including land acquisitions for preservation, trails and municipal use, various building and equipment capital projects, trail expansions, and natural gas lines. Despite saying he'd retire multiple times from the Board of Selectmen, Bob has continued to win re-election to the Board of Selectmen in some capacity, serving nearly continuously since 1989, with only a brief 2-year break when he did not seek office. In 2007, the town even threw a retirement party for Bob, only to have him return and reclaim his selectman seat in 2009. He now vows his current term, ending this November, will be his last. However, it won't be Bob's involvement in his community. His decades of public service exemplify the highest ideals of civic leadership. His humility, persistence, and genuine care for Bolton and its residents make him a true, exceptional public service. We think it is only fitting that he be honored with the Joel Kogan Lifetime Achievement Award in recognition of his extraordinary contributions to the town of Bolton. Bob, come on down.
Thank you so very much. And before I begin, I'd like to tell you that I hate long speeches. This will be 3 minutes or less, I guarantee you. No disrespect to our governor. I'd like to thank you, everyone, and I'm deeply honored and really humbled for this award. Being recognized for something that, frankly, you love doing your entire life is just something it's incredibly awesome. No other word. I'd like to thank CCM for considering and choosing me for that award, and the town of Bolton staff who nominated me, by the way, without even knowing it. He did this and then said, "Oh, guess what?" And especially to Patrice Carson, who was the person who kind of pushed this along and moved it forward. And I'd also like to thank the great staff in the town of Bolton. You know, as all you selectmen and mayors knows, your success or failure depends on your staff. And any success I may have had goes to these folks who've worked their butts off for our community and never asked for any thanks, but they deserve this award as much as I ever do. Now, I'd also like to thank my wife, who had to put up with me all these years and all the things I have to do, and also our 4 daughters, who likewise had to endure, oh shoot, I forgot I got a meeting tonight, this, that, and the other thing. And I am lucky because they still tolerate all this going on. And I'm grateful that I was able to give back to our community. That meant so much to my family and to me. As noted, my dad and his parents immigrated to this country from Italy. Shortly after that, they bought this little farm in Bolton, and over the years and decades became very successful farmers. And my dad became very involved in the community. And he was forever grateful for the opportunity that this country and our community gave to our family. He instilled in us this sense of service that you should give back to this community that did so much for you. And I hope in my life I've been able to do a little bit of that. Giving back has been its reward. And it gives you such a feeling that you get knowing that you're able to help make things a little better for your community and for your neighbors. And this is a feeling that, quite frankly, you can't adequately describe. And the older you get, the more important this becomes to you. Now, there's one thing that you all, particularly those elected officials, should always remember about service. It's not about you. It's about the community and the people you serve. Remember that, and you'll be successful forever. So God bless you. Thank you. God bless this great nation and the opportunity it gives everyone, like people like me. Thank you very much.
As we look around this room, and even Bob's great service and the recognition of the Joel Kogan Lifetime Achievement Award, none of this would have been possible without an innovator. Without the original innovator that one day, as mayor of New Haven, decided to create this organization of CCM. I often tell people about the names, the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. It's an odd name to me compared to some municipal leagues. I wish I had the opportunity to meet with Richard Lee and Joel Kogan and ask them about the naming of CCM, the conference, and how they came to that. But every year now, we give the Lee Award to recipients who have developed unique and creative projects and programs that increase the effectiveness of local government. And this year's Richard C. Lee Award is going to Sandra Allen Gaither the first selectwoman of Preston. For more than 20 years, Sandra has served as Preston's #1 champion and serving in many roles: the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Ethics Commission, the Board of Education, the Board of Finance, culminating in her leadership as first selectwoman. Elected to her first term in November of 2019, Sandra faced the unprecedented challenge of leading the town through the onset of the pandemic just months into her tenure. She turned crisis into opportunity, laying the groundwork for innovation, collaboration, and long-term community growth. A sampling of accomplishments include infrastructure improvements, where she secured $10 million for bridge and road projects, traffic calming and related initiatives; public works enhancements, where she obtained $1.5 million for transfer station and public works garage upgrades; recreation and public safety, where she secured $627,000 for the park improvements, safety initiatives, and expanded recreational programs. In total, Sandra has brought in more than $12 million in new funding to strengthen infrastructure, recreation, public safety, and community life. She has a track record of strengthening community partnerships. Together with the school system, they developed and continue to implement a joint strategic plan, a transformational roadmap that guides shared priorities and resources, including finance and payroll, as well as collective purchasing for utilities and insurance, saving taxpayer dollars while enhancing efficiency. She has expanded recreational opportunities and created the Passport program in partnership with local businesses in Parks and Recreation, funded through grants and designed to celebrate community assets while boosting economic vitality. She has pursued regional support and shared services with other towns, which include contracting for zoning enforcement, assessor services, and mechanical support, ensuring cost effectiveness while maintaining high quality service delivery. Her record of innovative problem solving, community building, and unwavering commitment to the people of Preston makes her an outstanding candidate for this award. We are proud to recognize Sandra Allen Gaither, who I believe has probably given a lot of people a cookie throughout her career, for the Richard Lee Innovators Award. Sandra?
Thank you very much. I'm honored for this award, and I think everybody in this room believes in giving back, which is one of the reasons why I decided to run as first select woman back in 2019. Similar to what my predecessor said for the Lifetime Achievement Award, you can't do it by yourself, and so I am very appreciative of the Preston team, the Preston boards and commissions, the Preston community, all of the partnerships that we've established through CCOG and Ledger and my Board of Selectmen, the Board of Finance. It's truly a collaborative effort, and none of these would have happened without them. So, and if I forgot somebody, I apologize. There's many people to thank. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations. Again, congratulations to all of the award recipients and the amazing work that you do and all of you do in your communities every day. As we wrap up here, I want to do something a little different. I want to direct your attention to the screens. And I want to introduce, for the first time, CCM's new Data Hub. This comprehensive platform, which you can grab the QR code if you wish, consolidates critical data from all 169 Connecticut towns and cities into one accessible, user-friendly interface. It provides up-to-date resources on relevant municipal data on governance, demographics, municipal finance, and much more. Whether you're managing a small rural town or a major urban center, or a member of the public. This open platform will hopefully serve as a round-the-clock research assistant. Users can view multiple communities simultaneously for side-by-side comparison, supporting transparent, fact-based government. Data Hub Applications provides invaluable data for budget planning, enabling finance directors to benchmark spending patterns across similar communities. Provides developers to research how peer municipalities address shared challenges. Grant writers can rapidly gather comparative data demonstrating community needs. And elected officials can access authoritative information instantly when responding to constituent questions. In addition, this will serve as CCM's new municipal directory. There is a town profile for each community highlighting some key facts about all 169 municipalities. And I will tell you, while this thing is very, very well developed and a lot of work and a lot of thought is put into it, it's also can continue to grow. So please use it and provide us feedback of what information that you need that is not included in the Data Hub so we can continue to modify the Data Hub to meet your needs. So ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to wrap things up.